Welcome to the groundbreaking podcast that will reshape your life. Get ready for an inspiring journey of self-discovery and personal transformation. This is Redesign Your Reality with me, your host, the seasoned entrepreneur and spiritual guide, Randy Lyman.
So Randy, there are a lot of people who don't feel like they have what they really want in life. A lot of times they come up with the excuse, either woe is me, poor me, I wasn't born into a family that actually encouraged me or had the resources. Or perhaps they say, man, I really want to build this business, but I just don't have the time. I have 3 kids. Hello. Really hard, right? To find the time to get all this done. Or perhaps they just are living in this world where they think that theirs is it's a victim mentality. My life is so much worse than yours, or you just don't understand where I'm coming from or what the experiences that I have had to go through. What do you tell someone who's struggling with this?
Well, first of all, if we're looking for other people to understand us, they're never going to understand us. And if we try and share our misery with somebody else, hoping they're going to give us answers or commiserate with us, neither one of those help because they're not going to give us answers, probably, unless they've gone down the path and they've had experience making their life better by either better time management or by emotional healing or more positive thoughts. Then they can give us some guidance or their insight. But if we're looking for somebody to tell us, yeah, you're right, these are your challenges, and we find that, it's not going to help. And if we keep looking for somebody who won't tell us that, we're still looking for that. And in the searching for the justification of where we are, we keep talking to ourselves about our challenges. I'm too tall, I'm too short, I'm too old, I'm too young, I'm too rich, I'm too poor, I'm in the wrong neighborhood, wherever that is, we focus on that. Our mind is thinking about that. The energy of our mind is vibrating at that and attracts more of that to us. And our emotions around that come up, or new emotions come up, and they vibrate at lack instead of abundance. They vibrate at the problem instead of the solution. And every one of us has the ability to manage our time better. So I learned a long time ago to say, hey, I didn't have time for that. I say, I didn't take time for that. Because I've learned at times in my past, when I was in my prime, I learned to really focus and force my way through things. Well, I wasn't necessarily in my prime. I was from a material point of view, and I accomplished a lot of things. But I also realized if I could slow down and take some time to feel and be in the moment, and I'd have more clarity of thought and I could accomplish more. So it's a balance. We need to make better use of our time. Time management's really important. Emotional management of not managing our emotions, but allowing them to flow through is really important. Spending time to journal and figure out what I want, set my goals is really important. And then actually having a disciplined plan is really important, and taking the steps that we need to do. So it's a balance of a lot of things to find success in life today. Now, there's a lot of different ways to find success, whether it's success with more time with my family, whether it's success with my health, whether it's success in my business. But in order to find that, we have to first make the commitment. We have to turn off the negative thoughts. We have to believe we can do it, even if we're faking it until we make it. And there's a whole lot of little things that all have to line up, but it's not impossible. Mm-hmm. So we have to stop the negative talk, start the positive habits, be aware of our emotions. And another thing that's really big is change the people we hang out with. If we're hanging out with people who are negative or who are not successful or who are talking about their problems, that's going to continue for us. Law of attraction says whatever we continue to focus our attention on, we're going to get more of it.
Oh my goodness. There's so many directions I want to go here. I'm going to put a pin in this idea of surround yourself with the people that have what you want so that you can grow around and reach those new heights. But also I want to talk about success. You said that when you were at your prime, and we have this joke, right, about you being at your prime, but right, that means that you had the peak of material success.
Exactly.
But that is not actual success in life. Like,
correct.
We're not here to just become very wealthy and accumulate wealth, because all of that gets left here. Last I checked, I don't get to take it with me.
Not only that, but that I had everything materially I could imagine. And it was wonderful and it was comfortable, but it didn't make me any happier. And the things I have in my life right now, I really they're beautiful. I enjoy them, but they don't make me happy. It's not where my happiness comes from. One thing I want to go back on, which you mentioned, is the people we hang out with. Mm-hmm. And this kind of tangents, but it goes back to what you said, which is when we want to hang out with people who are most successful, we're afraid that they're not going to want to interact with us. But I've found that when people are more successful than I am, and I go and ask them about their story, or I ask them for help, they're glad to help. They're glad to share their story. They're glad to offer advice. And they're not going to look down on me because they came from the same place at some point in time, whether it was a year ago or 10 years ago. They've been through the same. And law of attraction brings us to people who can help us when we want help.
It's probably actually humbling for them to be able to be given that opportunity, and for someone to say, how can I get to where you are? Or how can I achieve the success that you've achieved? Because there's still something about there's something okay about wanting to still achieve success. We're not saying that material wealth and having money and going after those goals and aspirations is actually a bad thing. It's not a bad thing, but that's not the only measure of success.
So if I want success on better health, I'm going to find someone who's more healthy and who has had that experience. I'm going to ask them for some guidance or opinion or insight or their story. If I find somebody, if I'm looking for material wealth or material success in business, or I want to learn how to be a better speaker, I'm going to find somebody who's a better speaker and ask them, how'd you learn to be a better speaker? And most of the time, they're going to say, yeah, this is what I did. And they're glad to share their story. People want to be heard. Mm-hmm. And sometimes successful people want to be heard more because as they've reached more success, they've become more isolated. So when somebody else comes along who reminds them of themselves when they were reaching for more success in any area, in any part of their life, they're like, yeah, I'm glad to help you. This worked for me and I'm glad to share it because I want somebody to listen to me. And I want for you the same as I've experienced for myself. People are not as greedy as we think, and they're not going to say, no, I can't share my secrets with you because then I won't be successful. I won't have happiness. They're glad to share. So take a risk. Find somebody who you think, God, I can't really talk to that person. What's the worst thing you're going to do? Say no? Most of the time they're going to say, yes, I've been in your situation. Especially when you ask them about their story. They'll tell you their story.
I really love this perspective because, of course, there are bad apples. There are bad apples everywhere. There's going to be people whose success has gone to their head, who are egotistical. But there are, by and large, a great number of very altruistic and helpful people out there who want to give back and want to share their knowledge. It's all about the perspective and how we look at it, and not having that woe is me mentality and telling yourself these things. What are the things you're telling yourself every day? Oh, nobody's going to want to listen to me. I'm not good enough. Those people are not my people. Like they don't think like I do. Right? It actually goes back to positive thoughts as well.
So we can have those thoughts, and we don't have to get rid of all our negative thoughts to move in a positive direction. We just have to have some positive thoughts. And at the same time, we don't have to do all the emotional healing right away. We don't have to change all the physical habits right away. We can set the intention with our mind. We can set the vision of, I'm going to find someone to help me. My life is going to get better. And even if we hold that vision for a moment, and some people say, oh, it's 27 and a half seconds or whatever that is. That's silly. When we put out that thought, when we create that thought in our mind, that thought goes out to the universe. And when we visualize something positive in our life, that reality is created as a possibility for us. And that has energy. So just thinking about daydreaming about, okay, I'm going to find somebody and they're going to take the time to talk to me. And we set that intent, the universe conspires for all those good things to happen for us. The universe is not against us. The universe is just waiting for us to think in those positive directions so it can help us achieve that.
I love this idea of dreams, right? And it still ties in. What purpose do dreams have in our lives? And how do they serve us? Because obviously we were given the ability to dream for a reason.
We either can accomplish the dream, or the things we learn along the way to try and accomplish the dream serve us. We learn, we grow, we find new friends, we learn new skills, we overcome challenges and understand we're stronger than we were. We find ways to connect with God. We find sometimes so much challenge that we have to surrender and say, God, help me find the solution. And that in itself is a positive thing.
Mm-hmm. This is fantastic. So success is something that we're striving for. We're striving for it in all different facets of our lives. What is the penultimate?
The pinnacle.
What is the pinnacle of success? what does that look like?
Being happy with where we are in the moment right now, regardless of the challenges we find in front of us. And realizing it's all going to turn out, and realizing we have a connection with God and love and source, and that God and love and source, where we came from, that ultimate creative being who we are a part of, who loves us and supports us, especially when we turn to him, is there for us. And we know that no matter what challenge comes along the way, we're like, okay, here's another gift. I'm going to go through it. And I had a little tone in my voice, like, okay, here's another gift. I'm going to go through it. And it's that at some level, but eventually we get to a place where we say, oh, okay, whatever. This is not going to be a problem. And when we don't have an emotional reaction, we don't have emotional baggage that creates the problems, and something comes up out of the ordinary that's a little bit of a problem, then the solution comes immediately. It's the only thing that takes time for the solution is for us to work through our emotional healing. So as we work through more emotional healing, or the decision that says, okay, I know there's going to be emotional healing and I know there's going to be a positive solution, when we get to that mental habit, when we get to that state of mind, then the highs aren't as high, but there's no lows anymore. And we're at a place of, as you talked about earlier, of happiness and joyousness. We find joy in everything because we know that nothing is bigger than God. Nothing is bigger than us connected to our God source.
So this idea of, I just don't have what I want. I don't get what I want. I want these things. I can never get them. Is anything and everything available to us? Are we able to achieve whatever we want?
Wow. Okay, this is a really, really good question, because we're able to achieve most of what we want. And in attempting to achieve what we want, we're going to find good things regardless. If there's something good or something challenging to go after, even if we don't reach the goal, we're going to achieve learning and growth along the way, and we're going to find more happiness in our life because we attempted to reach that goal, because we reached for the dream, because we did dream, and we dreamed bigger, and I wouldn't say shared our dreams. It was best a lot of times to keep it to ourselves, different conversation. But in aspiring to be more, in aspiring to be better, in aspiring to achieve even material success, we find bigger parts of ourselves, and we find more of a connection with source, or a reason to have connection with source, because trying to force our way through didn't reach it. So the dreams propel us towards learning and growth, and the opportunity to realize we can find happiness in every moment.
That reminds me of the famous quote, shoot for the moon, and even if you miss, you'll land among the stars. And I think it is this beautiful idea of go big, dream the big dreams. And you may not get to, you don't have to be so tied to the outcome. And we've talked about this offline, but it's this idea of like allowing the miracles to happen. And even if you don't reach the exact outcome, the destination will probably be better than you ever imagined.
The destination will be better, and the path will give us what we're really looking for. We have a daily life of striving to do something, and the challenge makes it more interesting. The challenge brings us more. And the other option is I can say, nope, I'm powerless. Nothing matters. I'm just going to lay on the floor and die. Now, is that extreme? That's not that much different than saying I'm helpless.
It's true.
It's really not that much different, because once I give up on myself, I give up on God, I give up on whatever my belief is, then why am I living? Have some faith, suspend the doubt, reach for our dreams, and know at some level, trust me on this one, when we reach for our dreams, we may not reach them completely, but it's worth it. We're going to gain.
I'm not going to ask you the question that everyone wants to answer, which is, what's the purpose of life? We're not going to go there today.
Well, do you
want to go there?
We can go there. Let's do it in a different segment.
Okay, we'll do it in a different segment. But I'm curious, like, what would be the ultimate goal to strive for right now? If you had to pick one.
Acceptance
Okay.
of what is. Acceptance of the challenges, acceptance of our current position, acceptance of the mistakes that I've made, acceptance of all the people in my life who have been helpful or been assholes or whatever. Acceptance of here I am, good, bad, or otherwise. Here I am. This is me. This is my life. And I accept it. Do I like it? Not necessarily, maybe. I like my life today, but I've been many times in my life I haven't liked it. But I said, okay, I accept it. Now where do I go?
I love this because I'm writing a memoir right now, and the theme is all about surrender. And it's really about surrendering to God's will and not having to always have control of the outcome. And that reminds me so much of just acceptance. I feel like acceptance and surrender are synonymous in a lot of ways, but it's really just being at peace with what it is that you're dealing with in the moment and enjoying the journey. I think we do have to give some thought to enjoying the moments, the steps, and the entire journey along the way. It's not like, oh, I don't have what I want. Well, what's going to happen when you get what you want? You're just going to want the next thing.
But that's judgment. And in acceptance, there's no judgment. In acceptance, it's okay, it is. How am I going to decide to respond? Not how am I going to react? How am I going to decide to respond? What am I going to do to make it better? And that may not, it's the same as surrender, but once we find acceptance, then we can find a way to surrender to God's path for us. God wants us to have our own goals. God wants us to have our own dreams. That's what we're here for. That's what he wants us here for. It expands his consciousness as we have our dreams and we find our own way to try to achieve those dreams. So it's, but acceptance of where we're at the moment is an important step towards achieving our dreams. Because if we don't accept where we're at now and we get stuck in the mire of, I'm not there because of all these reasons, all the because of reasons, the negative things are our energy that we give out to the world that keeps us attracting more things of the same energy. Acceptance says, I let it all go. I let go of the negative.
It's beautiful. Do you have anything else that you want to share with someone who's struggling with this feeling of, I can't ever get what I want?
Take a risk and say, I can, whether you believe it or not. They say, fake it until you make it. And I believe in that because our words are powerful. If we change our words first, then our mind at some point will believe it, our actions will follow, and we'll be shown the path to the emotional growth we need to get there. It all starts with our mind. And even if a part of us doesn't believe it, when we say it, a part of us starts to believe it.
Wonderful, Randy. Thank you so much for this amazing conversation.
You're welcome. Great questions. Thank you, Camille.